what does it mean and what does it take to be serious about this music? I think I need a little bit of coffee before I answer this question, because it's a deep question. It's an important question, and I think it's one worth addressing. Because first of all, let's break down some of this, because some of it is a little bit dogmatic. This music, what does that mean? A lot of people refer, when they're talking jazz musicians that refer to their own music, they call it this music. It's self-aggrandizing, I suppose, is what the word I was looking for. But this music means jazz music, or if you want to call it Black American music, you want to call it whatever you want to call it. We're talking about this music as in jazz, creative music. And people say you got to be serious about this music. What does it mean? Being serious about the music means that you actually like it, you would listen to it, you would interact with it, and you are a fan of the music. We talked about it a little bit in other live streams, but I used to be surprised by how many students who would come through my office door who actually had no interest in learning or talking about or playing jazz, but just did not want to play classical music. These are not the same things. There's not classical trombone and everything else. There are lots of different ways and different genres to play the trombone, and jazz is one. And jazz comes from a rich, specific history coming through people like Louis Armstrong and Jack Teagarden, and moving forward through the lens of swing and the blues and improvisation, like all that stuff leads us to people like J.J. Johnson and Curtis Fuller and Wycliffe Gordon and Steve Turre and Steve Davis and Marshall Gilkes and Michael Deese and James Burton and Ryan Keberly, and on down to my generation and the generations after me. All of these people are part of the history. So the history is all of that. And this music is those jazz players. Not anyone and everything, but a specific part of that. And so I think what it takes to be serious about the music is going deep. And it's easy to go wide. YouTube, Spotify will show you every million different trombone videos, jazz videos, everything. But what it won't show you is all of the nuances, all of the details that come into your playing from taking a deep, serious dive into the music and into a player or an era or a group of players that play similarly. So going deep, taking care of the music, meaning you're learning repertoire. That means in this music, learning tunes, learning transcriptions. How do we learn language? We learn it from emulating other people who are a master of the language. That's exactly how you learn English or whatever your first language is, from your parents or your people that raised you. You learned to emulate the language by repeating back things that they said. That's what we're doing when we're transcribing. We're internalizing the language, which is not the same as memorization, but that's a topic for another day. We are internalizing the music through learning it orally, and then maybe eventually you write it down, but you're going to take the time to learn something deeply and then continue to investigate it and participate it in all its different ways. So that means as a player, you're taking care of the technique on your instrument so that you can play all the things that are required of you. So you can play a bebop head, for example, or you could play Donnelly, or you can play all of the notes in the range of a big band chart, something like that, and that you're participating in it in different ways. So meaning like you can play in a big band, you can play in a small group, you can play in a medium-sized group, you can play the role of a soloist, you can play the role of an ensemble member, you can play the role of just maybe playing in a horn section or playing in an early jazz setting or a modern jazz setting. Not saying you need to be a master of all these things, but you do need to be a craftsperson of each of those things, each of those kind of subgenres, and then you'll eventually be able to develop a specialty from there. So that's what I think it means to be serious about this music.